Last week, in front of over 7,400 people, history was made as Keyworth Stadium reopened for the very first time as the new home of Detroit City FC. This week, history made again as FC United of Manchester makes their first visit to the United States of America. We have it coming up next. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back inside historic Keyworth Stadium, where for the second week in a row, history will be made as Detroit City FC plays host to FC United of Manchester in an international friendly. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Neil Rule, and an extra special hello to our friends watching across the pond over in England as you get ready for today's international friendly competition between these two sides. So, for Detroit City FC, for our friends in England, this team started back in 2012 as 5 local Detroit residents put their ideas and their money together to start what has now become one of the most talked about soccer teams in North America, Detroit City FC. Now we'll take a look at the NPSL standings, the National Premier Soccer League, where DCFC plays, as right now they currently sit in second place in the table, trailing only AFC Ann Arbor by 2 points. Let's take a look at the pregame report brought to you by the Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. This is the first time these two teams have ever met as FC United Manchester making their first ever trip to the United States. FC United's last match was a 2-2 draw back on April 30th at Broadhurst Park. Now last year, FC United of Manchester finished in 13th place in the Northern League standings, the 6th tier of professional football over in England. So today, it's very warm, it's very hot, it's very humid. Hydration and depth will be at a premium, and we'll have all that action for you coming up next. Live stream coverage of the Detroit City Football Club is brought to you by your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Visit ChevyDetroit.com and see why Chevy drives the Motor City. And DCFC gets additional support from Blake's Hard Cider, Axel Brewing, 313 Energy, Anytime Fitness, Fago, Flagstar, The Foaling Warehouse, Stroh's, Henry Ford Health System, M1 Imaging. Welcome back inside historic Keyworth Stadium as we are just moments away from a first for the FC United of Manchester club as they are playing their very first match here in America, squaring off in an international friendly against Detroit City FC. Welcome back. My name is Neil Rule, and joined here in the booth. And folks, this is a very special treat for me, and anybody who knows soccer at all knows that my broadcast partner here today, Steve Coppell, was a former great for Manchester United. Actually played a long time for the English national team as well. Steve, scoring 7 goals during your time as an English national team member, and it's awesome to have you here in the booth. Thanks so much for joining us. How's Detroit for you so far? Well,
it's been brilliant. Flew in on Thursday, and it's been nothing but tremendous hospitality ever since. Everyone's made all the FC United people feel very much at home, and it's a fascinating experience to see such a hotbed so far away from home. It's an example to so many emerging English clubs of how to sort of get something off the ground, and the atmosphere in the stadium here now is just fabulous.
And welcoming in our viewers over from England in the Manchester area. Now, Steve, you look at these two clubs, these are essentially mirror images of each other. They're very organic, very grassroots beginning, just people, a group of people who love soccer, and this is the result of a community-based club on both sides.
Yeah, and it is, and it's the exact opposite of the way football is going in England now, with so many foreign owners coming in. And the thing that buying an English football club gives an owner is worldwide fame, whereas it should be giving the local community a real substance, a real core of the values that you want to go on to the next generation. Fascinated by the FC United story, and to see it duplicated over here, I think it's a great example of the way football should be going. Unfortunately, I feel it's going, certainly at the top end of English football, it's going the other way.
Yeah, and as you get a look at the Northern Guard here, as we see them on the screen, this is what I say, pound for pound, the best sports fans in the city of Detroit, and pound for pound, one of the best supporter groups in soccer today across the country in terms of American soccer. FC United of Manchester obviously has their group as well. They have almost 200 people that have come over here from England to take in this match. Piggybacking on what you just said about the corporate nature of soccer and the way it is today, this is community-based support at its finest. You look at the history of the stadium, $750,000 raised by supporters of Detroit City FC to renovate this place, bring it back to its glory of the 1930s. This is what soccer's about.
Well, it should be, and just to see the work that has been done. We were watching a training session yesterday and people were explaining to us that the community had got together, as you say, raised funds, but more importantly, actually did a lot of the work themselves to bring the stadium up to the modern standards. And here we see it now, and it's a delight to see it so full. So supporters who are obviously just loving the situation, loving the growth of the club, and are 100% behind the club. So you can look at it and say, well, there's only a rosy future recommended.
Steve Koppel, our guest here today for the duration of the broadcast. We're happy to have him along here as we get you ready for Detroit City FC and FC United of Manchester in an international friendly. So now we're going to talk about the reason we're here, the game itself. These two clubs going at it. And Steve, this is a bit out of character in terms of climate here today for the Detroit area. Temperatures in the high 80s, heat indexes pushing the 90-degree mark. The pitch will be considerably warmer than that with the sun beating down on it. So how does that change things? If you're Ben Pierman for Detroit City FC, or if you're FC United of Manchester, you have to take into account all these factors and plan accordingly.
Yeah, and the FC players, I was with them this morning, they're very conscious of being hydrated, but it's difficult to be hydrated in these conditions. As you say, so hot. Heaven knows what the temperature is actually on the pitch. You know, there is just wispy clouds in the sky, but the heat is just coming down strong, and the players have got to be very, very careful in terms of the performance. You know, to use an old Terry Venables expression, they've got to get the rest in possession. I think it's very important. I would expect or anticipate the FC team to have a little bit more technical ability and to use that to retain possession. Whereas the Detroit team, a lot of college players, bags of enthusiasm, bags of energy. It will be a fascinating contest, and the first 10 minutes I think will show us so much about the fitness of the two sides. Again, we've got to remember FC United, their season finished 2-3 weeks ago. I don't think they've been training too hard in the meantime, so it might just catch up with them as the game progresses. But first 10 minutes will be a great indication.
Is there a magic minute mark that you look to during your time? And you played all over the world in some of the biggest matches that have ever been played. Has there been a uniform, really, minute number that you look at when you played in very hot conditions? Do you say, oh, we have to take a look at where we are in the 30th minute, the 45th minute, the 50th minute? I mean, is there a certain amount set of time that you look to and say, hey, what kind of shape are we in right now?
No, I think throughout the course of the game, you're looking at just indications of how people react when they make a long run, when they make a real sprint, how they recover. And you feed that into your sort of brain, and your footballing brain especially, and then you act accordingly. Again, I think for the FC United team, the first 10 minutes, you know, I was fascinated really in the warm-up because both teams came out and they've been warming up for 40, 45 minutes, and I'm thinking, what on earth are they doing? They're just depleting all their energy stores, and all they can do now is just go in the dressing room, try and get as much fluid as they can into their bodies and get themselves raring to go.
So for our starting lineups here today, we will join our PA announcer right here at historic Keyworth Stadium to get you the starting 11 for both sides here, and we'll get you ready to go Detroit City FC and FC United of Manchester. Detroit City FC with a 1-1-2 mark, coming off a 3-2 loss at Kalamazoo on Sunday. And FC United of Manchester, they compete in the National League North Division, the 6th tier of English soccer. They went 15-8-19 last season, finishing in 13th place in the National League. And walking out with the FC United of Manchester side, Louis Pritchard. He's from Gorton, Manchester. Lucas Nuttall from Manchester as well. William Kershaw and Amelia, as you see, the youngsters that made the trek over from Manchester, England. Got a chance to meet a lot of them last night at a special meet and greet. Certainly was a great time had by all. The spirit of soccer certainly shared by both these clubs, and more importantly, both their supporters. And we're very grateful to have all of you joining us wherever you may be watching around the world. Also, those of you joining us here on Fox Sports Detroit.com as well. Electricity in the air here in Keyworth Stadium, as there always is when the Northern Guard is involved. Just a tremendous feeling here in the stadium. The fans have been here early and often. Of course, we talked about it last week. Over 7,400 showed out to watch this place reopen as DCFC's new home. And now we'll get you the starting lineups brought to you by Henry Ford Health System.
Number 1, Dylan Forth. Number 2, Tom Brown. Number 3, Chris Chandler. Number 4, Scott Kay. Number 5, Tom Eckersley. Number 6, Luke Ashworth. Number 7, Matthew Wolfenden. Number 8, Sam Madley. Number 9, Tom Greaves. Number 10, Jerome Wright. And number 11, George Thompson. Manager of FC United is Carl Magnuson. Your officials for today's match are Donovan Nocha, Igor Resnick, Adrian McDonald, and Nick Belser. And now, for your hometown Detroit City FC starting 11. Number 31, Joe Smith. Number 23, Zach Shiwi. Number 4, Seb Harris. Number 96, Omar Sinclair. Number 5, TJ Stevens. Number 18, your captain, David Edwardson. Number 9, George Shamakoff. Number 25, Danny Deacon. Number 8, Jeff Atkins. Number 19, Tyler Chanel. Number 33, Javi Batista. Head coach of Detroit FC is Ben Pierman. Associate head coach is Adil Salmani. Assistant coaches are Colby Cunningham, Josh Rogers, and Brett Mullen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats for the national anthem led by the Detroit City FC supporters section.
I'm in the front right now. Say, can you see why the dawn's early light was so proudly we hailed, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets sprang clear, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the hope of
Our national anthem performed by the Northern Guard. As always, you have the starting lineups. You have all the information we need, and we're just a couple moments away from the opening kick here. FC United of Manchester of the National League North over in England, the 6th tier of soccer across the pond, as they say, in Detroit City FC with a 1-1-2 mark in the NPSL, ready to do battle in an international friendly. My name is Neil Rule, happy to have you with us, and I'm joined by a very special guest, English football legend Steve Koppel, joining us here in the booth, and we're certainly happy to have him. And Steve, you and I had a chance last night to chat for a few minutes over at a meet and greet at the Motor City Casino, and certainly was tremendous just to pick your brain and everything that you've seen in soccer. Of course, your time with the English national team. I have to ask you, the soccer dork in me wants to know, what's that feeling like when you run out of the tunnel and you're representing England, you're taking on the Italys, the Scotlands, and everything like that? What's going through your mind?
Well, it's the ultimate dream. You really do dream about it as a kid. Everyone, you play games in your head of one day perhaps having that honor to represent your country. And my first England international was at home against Italy in a World Cup qualifier, and Italy had already qualified, but for me it was such a magical moment, you know, from our family. You know, that's what you really enjoy, the fact that your family enjoy it so much. And the occasion, of course, when I was playing, it was the old Wembley, and you used to have that big walk up onto the pitch from behind the goal. It was probably about 200 yards, and as you came up the tunnel, just the noise hit you, and it was a real tingle feeling, and so very, very special. And because it was my first time, I still remember that to this day. It was the most special thing for me. Playing against Scotland was always great. I was always thankful that there were Scottish goalkeepers, because they weren't very good, and I scored most of my goals against Scotland. Thank heaven for Alan Rough is all I can say. But playing against Scotland was different for sure. And you know, again, another highlight for me was the 1982 World Cup, playing in that. Similar situation, similar heat, because we played in Bilbao. Our first game was a 12 o'clock kickoff midday, and it was 100-odd degrees in the stadium. So it's a mirror image of this. Just incidentally as well, just looking at the FC kit, it's a throwback to when I was playing for United. Our kit sponsors then were Admiral, and this is a very, very similar to an old Admiral kit. So shades of yesteryear for me, and I just hope now as we come up to kick off that it's a real good game for everyone assembled here. It'll be fascinating to see the different standards and where Detroit City sit against FC United.
So we're just about ready to roll here. Detroit City FC, the Le Rouge, and the rouge-colored kits as we are underway. FC United of Manchester in the whites with the black shorts. Game time temperature 87 degrees. The real feel, or the heat index, pushing 92 right now. The sun is beating down on the pitch. You can only imagine the temperature down there on the playing surface. But away we go as TJ Stevens plays it off the right sideline in the first 15 minutes of action, brought to you by Henry Ford Health Systems. Again, my name is Neil Rule. Steve Koppel, my broadcast partner, former player for the English national team. Also played some time for Manchester United as well. And we'll get into his managerial experience as the afternoon progresses. I want to get to it all, Steve, but we got 90 minutes, so we have some time.
We got plenty of time. But a predictable start, really. FC just trying to control the play from the back. They're not going to exert themselves too much, trying to set the play up, and every so often they look to spring forward and create chances and opportunities.
Here comes FC United again, playing it towards that left side where it's taken away. Chris Chandler play the ball, scored a goal last year. That's intended for Jerome Wright, and Jerome Wright's the one, especially for Detroit City fans, that you want to keep an eye on. The club captain here is FC United of Manchester, 335 appearances. The all-time club leader, obviously, scored 76 career goals. So he's the man that really stirs the drink, the straw that stirs the drink offensively for this FC United of Manchester side. 335 appearances.
Yeah,
that's all, though, huh?
He's a Ryan Giggs lookalike, and he plays very similar as well. He's got a sweet left foot, and he looks to take defenders on. He's very comfortable in possession. The pitch is lively, Neil. You know, it really is a little bit different. Obviously, it's an old artificial surface, and it's very, very lively. And your control has to be an optimum just to take advantage of decently weighted passes.
Here comes FC United now with the possession on the left side. Jerome Wright with it again. Trying to serve it into the box. It's taken away from him. And Steve, universally when I talk with soccer people, they say the thing that has changed the most for the game itself, the first touch quality has gotten so much better throughout time, from the 80s up until now. Players now are capable of receiving the ball and making a move almost instantaneously.
Well, that's what distinguishes a top player. The top players can, but when you see, you know, a lot of 1- and 2-touch football, then you know that players do struggle with their control. That first touch is so important for all football now. You don't want to be chasing the ball. If the opposition have got the ball, if they're in possession, then you're working hard. You're working too hard most of the time, and over the course of 90-odd minutes, it's going to affect the end result. But a good, solid first touch, a vision, is very, very important.
Ball was sent into the box. Luke Ashworth was the target for FC United. Again, Detroit City standing tall on that defensive line. So a throw in coming.
Set pieces, I think, will be very important, Neil. I think English teams are always priding themselves on the quality of delivery, so that'll be fascinating again to see how the American team will deal with a lot of aerial challenges.
Here comes a counter-attack for Detroit City FC. The ball is sent up. It's a 3-on-1. Jeff Atkins has control, crosses over into the box and loses his footing as the ball is cleared out, but some early electricity from Jeff Atkins and DCFC.
Yeah, it was fabulous. What a lovely bit of play. You know, real pace, control. Again, as you could see, he was running with the ball and it was bobbling all over the place, but he still had the touch to be able to deal with it. Real great check inside, and then he just lost his legs. But terrific play.
Jeff Atkins played his college soccer at Butler. The corner is served in. It's headed on and grabbed by the keeper, Dylan Forth. So Detroit City with their first pressure of the afternoon here in the 5th minute. An early dangerous opportunity. This FC United of Manchester side, and Steve, getting a chance last night to talk with the guys, the size is the thing that I noticed. A lot of these guys I was looking at eye level with, maybe even looking up at a couple of them.
Yeah, some big units, that's for sure. And again, that's the importance of the set pieces.
Right.
And yet, ironically, there, Detroit's first corner, they get a strike on goal. So, you know, that's an area that one team has got to win. I think it's so important when it is so difficult to create and carve opportunities. Detroit sitting deep now. You can just see the way they're playing. They want to play in front of them, and that's easier to defend.
So FC United of Manchester now will try the right side. Another serve into the box. That's headed away by Seb Harris. Seb Harris, of course, one of the linchpins. This defensive line for Detroit City FC. Seb Harris played his college soccer at Oakland University. Played some pro soccer as well at Northampton Town FC for a couple of years. Scott Kay along the sideline loses possession. There'll be a throw-in coming up for DCFC. Greaves, another dangerous player, scored the winning goal for Bradford Park Avenue versus FC United in the 2012 playoff final. Now he switched sides.
Yeah, well, it happens in football. There's so many, you know, at the end of the contract, players are free to move anywhere now because of Bosman many years ago. And it's great to see, because it does make it a real changeable scene. It used to be that you could build a team, construct a team over time, but now with the freedom of movement, players have a lot more options, and it's only right.
Omar Sinclair with the possession for Detroit City. His college soccer at Saginaw Valley State. Now Sinclair has possession. Of course, DCFC coached by Ben Pierman in his 4th season. The assistant coach at Michigan State University, was a 3-year starter at Michigan State, where he went to 3 NCAA tournaments. The assistant coaches Neil Salmoni, Colby Cunningham, and Josh Rogers. The goalkeeping coach is Brett Moen. DJ Stevens playing a bit of knockaround right now with Omar Sinclair.
Again, it's so hot that the FC players just can't put a great deal of pressure on the ball. They're trying to press the pass a little bit more and taking advantage. But Detroit seem very, very confident in building play up and passing through the lines.
Here comes Detroit City. The foul is called. It's the other side of midfield. And Steve, sometimes it is that simple, right? I mean, when you have temperatures like this, you almost have to pick your spots. You can't go 100% all the time.
No, absolutely. You know, I often say with teams, 5 minutes of the best can win a match. But for the other 85, you've got to compete, be organised. And the one thing is very evident here, both sides are very organised. Again, both sides defending deep, which means it's so difficult to get those 1v1 situations beyond. But Detroit certainly impressing me at the moment. All very comfortable, a lot more athletic, I think. And I think great ball through.
That pass is onside. The shot is chipped on, but the save is made by Dylan Forth again.
You're talking about the first touch, Neil, and there it was just a little bit sloppy. Got caught in amongst his feet, and he couldn't get a strike off quickly enough. But again, the athletic nature of the Detroit players, I think over time is going to be to their huge advantage.
Take another look at that play, and Steve, you nailed it right there. Just the first touch let him down.
Again, the surface is dry. You know, it doesn't sound too important, but when it's a little bit slippery, the passes just slide better, and you can get it out of your feet and run onto things. But again, just a great run forward, the pass inside the fullback, an opportunity created, the best so far.
Javi Batista on that chance. That's a guy who typically finishes when he gets an opportunity to do so. Was an All-American at Ashford. Scored 11 goals in 19 games as a senior. So the book on Javier Bautista, something we saw certainly last year. Struggled with injuries last year, but a very capable finisher. I'm sure he'll be the first one to tell you he expects better from himself on that effort.
Again, a composed build-up here. They're not giving away possession. They know how important it is to keep the ball. Very, very confident and comfortable passing, and then the bomb over the top.
And now here comes Bautista again with an opportunity. Right foot is in the back of the net. It's a goal for Detroit City. Javi Bautista strikes.
Terrific finish there. The ball over the top. Again, born out of a very patient build-up play. A super pass over the top. And a very, very calm finish. You know, credit to them. They created that because of their patience in the build-up.
And Steve, no sooner did I say that when Javi Bautista gets an opportunity to finish, more often than not he does.
Yeah.
Just moments later, another chance, and Bautista strikes again.
Well, Luke Ashworth, he put his arm up for offside, but it certainly looked as if it was onside. It was just a perfectly timed run and very confident finish. And I think the FC players now know they've got a game on.
So here in the 11th minute, DCFC takes a 1-0 lead on the Javi Bautista goal. And the smoke supply for the Northern Guard is under heavy duress early on here at Keyworth Stadium. Don't worry, Steve, they got smoke for days.
Well, I can only imagine what the health and safety would say in England. I'm not sure that would be allowed, but it looks great here today.
Yeah. There's more where that came from, trust me, Steve. They have come prepared all the time. So now FC United of Manchester, as you said, they know they have a game of it here. 1-0, Le Rouge in front. Neil Rule, Steve Koppel with you, English football legend. Certainly a special treat for us to have him in the booth. And I was joking with some of my soccer elite friends, Steve. I told them I got the opportunity to work with you, and they were like, "Wow, that's awesome, that's incredible." I said, "You realize this man was on the field with the FA Cup last weekend,
yep.
and this weekend he stuck with you."
Yeah,
so
7 days ago. It was a brilliant occasion. And really enjoyable. That was the thing about it, taking the cup onto the pitch. I don't know if it's been done before. Myself and Sir Alex rekindling memories of 26 years ago when we played in the FA Cup final. It was a fabulous occasion, fabulous day.
So 1-0, Detroit City in the lead. Bautista scoring the goal. So Steve, what does this do now for the game plan of FC United of Manchester? We have 86 degrees. We have a heat index of 93 degrees. Now you're down a goal as well. Now you have to throw a little more caution to the wind a little bit, don't you?
Yeah. I think they expected to control possession a little bit more. I think they anticipated that Detroit wouldn't have the finesse that they obviously do have. So now they've got to impose themselves on the game and build up play just a little bit quicker than they are at the moment. Again, Detroit really well organized, getting 8-9 men behind the ball. It's very difficult to break down.
So now it's in the back of the net, a goal for FC United as Sam Madley tickles the twine and ties this match up at 1.
See, what do I know, Neil? I'm saying how difficult it was to create chances, and they got to score straight away. But, it just shows they have that little bit more quality up front, very incisive, and the ball comes across. A speculative ball into the box, but terrific play. That's the kind of cross that you really want as a player. Sam Madley there. When I played for United, we were always told to hit a violent cross. That means smash it along the 6-yard line, and that's a mirror image of how we were taught to play when you get in those wide situations. Tom Greaves with the ball across, really delivered, and that's the kind of finish you want, 2-3 yards out.
Sam Madley, who had 10 goals in 33 appearances last year. Talking with him last night, said he's very attack-minded, and that certainly was a scenario there. That shot with the left foot lifted over top by Danny Deacon. Danny Deacon, who had a goal and 3 assists against Dayton, looking to pick up where he left off there. Let's go to our Better Made fun fact here today. FC United of Manchester's attendance at its first home opener at Broadhurst Park on May 29th of last year, 4,232. It was a sellout for them. And again, we talked about mirror images of each other. These two clubs, DCFC last week, opened Keyworth Stadium. They sold this place out 7,410. So Steve, it just comes back to that organic grassroots effort of soccer or football over in England. It's community built. You can't beat that because everybody is vested.
And so unusual in England.
Right,
because
in today's day and age.
It's been so, everyone's been so used to a benevolent millionaire bailing out clubs left, right and centre. And for a community to take charge of its own destiny, it really is something to admire. You have to admire it. What they've done is so unusual. The level they're playing at, 4,000 crowd, is just phenomenal. Usually a lot of the teams round about will be getting 300, 400, 500s at best, and all of a sudden FC United come along and getting great crowds at home and also taking lots of numbers away.
The next 15 minutes of action here brought to you by 313 Energy. Guys will be using a lot of energy here today in the heat. Fans also using a lot of energy here today. It's 1-1. We've had some fireworks early. A goal from both sides. Sam Madley equalized for FC United. It was Javi Bautista in the 11th minute. Sam Madley struck in the 13th minute. We're all square at 1. The right side of the box. A bit of a misplay there from Sam Madley, the goal scorer, but now FC United with control of it. Oh, it's flicked on. Now it's put out of play. A corner kick upcoming.
Both teams, when they get in the wide areas, seem to be producing real dangerous crosses, and that's the way I've always felt is the best way to get around pack defenses. If teams are getting 8, 9 people behind the ball, then inevitably in wide areas you get 1v1s, and they're the best odds you can ever have in football.
Jerome Wright will trigger the corner. Well, sent high towards the back corner. Now it comes free. Well, Danny Deacon will play it. Deacon being harassed by Jerome Wright. Still being harassed. He's taken down and fouled.
I think that was what you could call a diplomatic foul, because it gives his chance, the rest of the teammates, just to get back, have a little bit of a breather. I think if he hadn't have committed that foul there, then it would have been a breakaway, which is so difficult to defend against. Danny Deacon was away. It would have been a big problem for FC United.
There you go. Yeah, Chelsea.
Detroit City with control. Channel knocking it down, sending it to the midfield. The captain, Dave Edwardson, with it. He's taken down. Here comes a counterattack for FC United of Manchester up the left side. Here comes Sam Madley. He's got a goal already. Send the cross in. Nobody home on the other side. A goal kick coming.
Again,
Detroit City.
A decent cross coming in. He just couldn't get that control, the bend into the danger area, that second 6-yard box. Very impressed in these early stages with that man there, Omar Sinclair. He seems to be very, very composed, not only in possession, but in those 1v1 situations. He knows which way to show a player, which way will give them the least advantage. But he looks to be a player in the making.
And Steve, that's one thing, and you've been managing at the highest level of soccer in England, obviously in the EPL, and when you look at a player, when they have that calmness, that presents itself. Yeah. When they're cool under fire, that's a trait. If you don't have it, you will find that out right away, won't you?
Certainly as a defender. You know, he's obviously blessed with pace. You can see he's a real good mover, but in possession, you know, he just waits that extra fraction of a second on the ball and picks his midfield player out or his front player. He's composed.
Chris Chandler trots over. He will throw this in. We're tied at 1 here in the 20th minute. My name is Neil Rule. Happy to have you with us. Very special guest commentator in the booth with us today, English football legend Steve Koppel. Played for Manchester United, scored 7 goals for the English national team as well. Now some space in the middle of the field. The dummy is sent through. Tom Greaves. Greaves has already had a helper here today. Something to be said for those guys that are up top in the middle of the field that are very complacent to assist and create plays.
Yeah, and you look how sort of long the pitch is in terms of the back four of FC United and the back four of Detroit. It's 60, 70 yards, and in this heat you're dependent on the mobility and midfield players to control possession, make the opposition work hard, but also to make progress, to get up the field, to create opportunities. You know, a huge distance, and you want your players to be comfortable, not give the ball away cheaply, to dominate possession, because that is the crucial aspect when it's so hot.
Luke Ashworth, who scored 5 goals last year, sends that pass up along the right side in front of the Northern guard. A lot of wing-to-wing passes here in the first 20-plus minutes of action. Now FC United looking to maintain some possession. Scott Kay in the mix down there. George Thompson plays it to Jerome Wright. Wright, nice looking pass into the box. Wright with the touch. That ball is loose. And off his line is Joe Smith. Good anticipation by Joe Smith.
Yeah, for sure. He's quick. I was watching him in the warm-up before the game. He's a real good shot stopper, but he proved there that he's quick coming off his line. But good interplay for FC United. that is the way they want to score the goals, although on the evidence of the early stages of this game, it looks from wide areas that they'll produce the best play.
So another toss incoming here for FC United of Manchester. There's a look at Joe Smith, the keeper today. Joe Smith played his college soccer at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. And a water break called for right now. And Steve, this is something that is very necessary here today, given I see you going to the water, I'm going to the water as well. We're not even out there moving.
Exactly. I was watching FC United train yesterday afternoon, and I think they realized, you know, just how hot this is. We haven't had this in England at the moment. At the moment in England, it's lovely weather, beautiful weather, but it's 70 degrees. I was watching the golf this morning, and coming here, you know, the humidity and again the heat bouncing off the turf, you know, that makes a big difference. And the temperature actually on the pitch must be more than the air temperature. So these players need to get this fluid on board, and so they can keep the skills and entertain the crowd as much as possible. But FC United are doing great because they had a long journey coming over, flying through Schiphol to get here. And with the time difference, I think in the first half of this half, they've done terrifically well. A little bit of a setback, obviously, with the goal, but now it just appears they're getting a little bit more control, getting used to the pitch. It's difficult to run with the ball on the pitch, so I think they've seen that it's, you know, the interplay, the little 1-2s on the edge of the box, that will bring dividends for them. But Chris Chandler, especially in the left back position, is putting some great deliveries into the box. And you know, Tom Greaves, I think, will be looking for a lot more from his fullbacks in particular to provide for him, to create for others.
We'll take a look now at how we got to this 1-1 score here in the 24th minute. Detroit City FC struck first. It was Javi Batista, who moments earlier had a classic opportunity, but got another crack at it and finished it strong.
Yeah. Well, on a day like this, you know, he's the kind of player that centre half don't want to face, you know, a little bit quick.
Sam Madley on the other side for FC United of Manchester, finding the back of the net on a tremendous cross that was sent across by Tom Greaves.
Yeah, well, that pace in the box, it's very, very difficult for a defender to deal with that and just look for a big surface to clear out the way. But again, bobbly pitch, it just escaped him there, and Sam Madley was there to finish off. Deadly from 2 yards. I think I was deadly from 2 yards. But,
most people are, right?
Yeah. Well, not always. I tell you.
Danny Deacon with the possession. Another counterattack here for Detroit City. It's Javi Bautista one more time with the ball on his foot, making the move, and the shot and the save and the rebound. It's put in the back of the net. It's another goal for Detroit City. Javi Bautista creating again, and Jeff Atkins reaping the benefits.
Well, another really powerful cross, and a quick break, as you said, Neil. It looked to be full of potential as it was developing that play, but when the ball went out wide, that real pacey cross is just so difficult to deal with. And that's a blow to FC United, because after the water break they would have been anticipating it to be a little bit stronger, and a moment of weakness, lost concentration. Again, you see it out here, Batista, his pace is just so difficult to handle, and Atkins, great for him because he had that early run which was fabulous to watch. So he got his reward there with the goal, and you could see that he really enjoyed it.
So Jeff Atkins, who played his college soccer at Butler, was a member of the Atlantic 10 all-rookie team, finishes when Javi Bautista started. And it's 2-1. Le Rouge in the lead here as we cross into the 27th minute. Very entertaining first 27 minutes of play, Steve. No question about that.
Yeah. It's so easy in these kind of games to almost play sort of friendly football with nothing happening, not really pushing yourself. But I think both teams have shown already they want to win this game. There's, you know, it is a friendly in the truest sense of the word, but there's still that pride. And I know the FC United boys wanted to put on a good show first and foremost, but they wanted to win. and they know now they're going to have to dig deep. They don't have a huge squad. They haven't travelled with a huge squad, but the lads will really have to go into the deepest resources to get back in this game, because Detroit have shown the pace they have up front. They're dangerous.
Tyler Channel there mixing up with Luke Ashworth, but Ashworth wins that battle. Dylan Forth, the goalkeeper, will send it out wide to the right side. 2-1 DCFC in the lead. My name is Neil Rule. Steve Koppel, very special guest commentator here in the booth, all the way over from England. Former English national team great. Also played for Manchester, little club called Manchester United. I'm sure if you guys have heard of them. But if you have, Steve at one time played for them as well. Scott Kay will send it back. Tom Brown will chip it out wide to the right. And a throw-in coming for FC United of Manchester. Temperatures in the high 80s, the humidity making it feel in the low 90s. And as Steve was talking about, down there on the pitch, it's got to be pushing 100 degrees minimum. Uncharacteristic early June weather here.
Yeah. Well, for English people, it's just uncharacteristic. You know, we might get 1 or 2 days like this, but you know, so very difficult for the FC United players to really get the ball down and play. Again, I said the pitch was lively. Because it's dry, it's just bobbling all the time when you run with it. I'm not making excuses, it's just a fact. For both sides, it's difficult. But that's going to be a critical element going forward to the team who's going to win the game. You need to be in control. You need to control the tempo of the game. At the moment, you know, FC are just struggling to get into positions where they can really hurt Detroit. Detroit is so well organised, and again, you can see they're deep there. They're dropping off, so all the play is always in front of them, and that's a lot easier to handle.
Now, Steve, kind of going off the board a little bit, being over here in America, give us your take on soccer here in America. I think we've finally seen that soccer in America has really turned the corner in terms of its place amongst the major sports here in the USA.
Yeah, I think the thing that's holding it back almost is the fact that, you know, they're taking a lot of players to almost justify the league who are on the slippery slope in European football. It'll be great to see maybe in the not too distant future when they're taking current stars from European football. And not because it's just money based, but because it's an exciting league that people across the world, you know, not only Europeans but South Americans as well. You know, all too often you see a player coming here just to see out his last couple of years and get a little bit more of the gravy train. It will really be an indication that football here has arrived when they get current stars from across South America, Europe, Eastern Europe, then it will be here.
Now here's an opportunity settling it down. It's Matthew Waywith. Scott Kay with the control. Set on frame where Joe Smith is equal to the task. The next 15 minutes of action brought to you by Phoenix Haas, the official building partner of Detroit City FC. So I guess, Scott, to pick the conversation back up, what that means is, and look, we've seen the people of MLS, that, you know, the owners, the organizers, everything, we've seen them step up their level of investment. They're pumping some serious money into the game. But what you're talking about is almost that next level of investment. Because let's be honest about it, Steve. When you're talking about the current football stars of the world, you're talking about millions, millions, and millions of dollars. So is it just a financial thing?
Well, I think finances obviously have got an awful lot to do with it. You know, players play for a weekly wage, and the wages now are just huge.
Right.
But if the league is really going to take off on a world level, then it's got to
go to the next level.
Yeah, it's got to bring in the top players from the world. And also, I think that will elevate the national team here, because if the national team had a really good World Cup, then it would make a huge difference.
George Chamakoff with the touch in. Danny Deacon with a cross. Nobody home for Detroit City FC. TJ Stevens was in the area. Now the ball's played back out. It's gathered by FC United of Manchester.
Another great cross coming in there, Neil. You see the value of getting into those wider areas. The goals have come from those kind of crosses. You know, I think that's where both defenses are a little bit vulnerable. You get somebody out wide, they have that 1v1 situation. As I said, they're the best odds you'll have. When you attack down the middle, both defenses are well organised, and you're facing a wall of 2 banks of 4 players, and that's difficult to penetrate.
And Steve, piggybacking on that American soccer discussion, it's interesting to me to get a look here at this FC United team and Detroit City FC almost playing that a typical American brand of soccer where the counterattack is almost a preferred method. You're willing to concede a little bit of possession for that quick counter strike.
Well, I think that's the way right across certainly European football now. It's almost when you're not in possession, the team will retreat to a certain level, and then they'll make them work hard for whatever they're going to create from there. And I think that's you know, they copy. You have to copy. If you can't innovate, you imitate. You imitate the best teams, and that's what the American teams are doing now. And that is the way forward. You have to compete at that level. You have to be strong in certain areas. But the real penetration up front, so, you know, a real top quality number 10 player, I think, would make all the difference to any American team. Someone who's really creative, you know, a home-based American would be fabulous for them and their development as a side in World Cups. A lot of athletic players, Neil, but not quite that really intuitive, creative number 10 role player.
The top class of finishers,
yeah,
as you will.
Yeah.
Certainly in short supply. That's why the goal scorers make all the money, right?
Exactly.
And get all the shoe deals and everything.
Yep.
2-1, Detroit City with the lead here in the 35th minute. Neil Rule, Steve Koppel with you. Steve, of course, former English national team great, played for Manchester United as well. World-class football manager as well in the English Premier League. We'll get into that in a little while as well. Again, Steve, I want to get to it all like a kid in a candy store right now. I gotta pace myself. I can't use it. It's like these guys out here in this heat. I can't use it all up in one sitting, you know.
Well, isn't it great with the crowd as well, Neil? Look at them chanting now, really creating a fabulous atmosphere for their own players to play forward.
Here comes Javi Bautista again with a shot, and it just misses the right post. But again, up that left side, Javier Bautista has been a force here this afternoon.
Well, he is the real force. He's got so much pace, and he's using it to his advantage. Going either way. I think he scored with his right foot, didn't he? Comfortable there, going back onto his left side. And again, that shot across goal. When I was playing, I was always told, as you come in from that angle, just hit it as hard as you can towards the far post, because if you miss hit it one way, it's a goal, and if you miss hit it the other way, it's a terrific cross. So the other players just couldn't anticipate that.
And now here comes an opportunity, and coming off the line and making the grab is Joe Smith. So again, good anticipation by Smith.
Again, they don't give possession away. Well, I haven't said that they have done, but
good call, Steve.
They're quite happy playing out from the goalkeeper because they feel that is the best way to conserve energy, to control the possession. But obviously, it all falls down when somebody gives it away. That's what FC United are hoping for. A slack pass will give them possession when Detroit aren't set up to defend. When they build up slowly, it's easy to defend.
And again, we'd like to extend an extra special hello to those of you watching over in Manchester, in England, in the evening over there. And we appreciate you joining us here. You can send us a tweet. Let us know exactly where you're watching with the hashtag WatchCity. Of course, you can follow Detroit City FC on Twitter at Detroit City FC. So send us a tweet with the hashtag WatchCity. Let us know where you're taking in the action. We get to those periodically as the afternoon goes on. As we push on towards the 38th minute, 2-1 the score. Javi Bautista's been the story, a goal and an assist so far. He's been absolute electricity up the left side. One of the rare times today we see some possession from City as TJ Stevens moves into the box and curls it across, and Javi Bautista just out of his reach again. Boy, he is raising havoc in there.
Yeah, and what we were saying before about being deadly from 2 yards, it just shows you that people do miss from those situations. But great break down the right side, a control ball, but again the bobbling ball, he was coming in at such pace. Might have been better off just side footing it with his left foot back the way it came. He just tried to guide it round with his right foot and missed what you can only call a golden opportunity.
Here comes Chris Chandler for FC United, as they're looking to possess here as the ball comes through the midfield. Tom Brown controls it. George Thompson. That ball touched away at the last moment. Omar Sinclair will head it out of harm's way. George Chamakoff knocks it down. See George back out there. Captain Dave Edwardson with control in the midfield. Come on, Jeff! Now more opportunity. That shot is knocked down. The rebound is loose in the box. And Tyler Channel's calling for a handball. The official says play on as Dylan Forth makes the grab. But a very hairy situation there for FC United of Manchester.
I don't think Dylan Forth would be too pleased with his handling there. It looked to be a comfortable save just at the right height, and it bounced out of his hands. And as you say, a big shout for handball, but I suspect it was only one hand, and that's allowed.
That ball sent up towards the left side. I believe that's Matthew Waywin giving the chase, and the whistle sounds, and TJ Stevens is on the ground. It's tough to see from our vantage point exactly what happened, but that's usually the case. The whistle ends up with somebody on the ground, right?
Yeah, well, he's a big unit, isn't he, Waywin? So I think he knows that he's been in a challenge, TJ Stevens. But
Matthew Waywin, who was called up for international duty for St. Kitts in the World Cup qualifier against El Salvador. So he knows that experience that you went through as well. What's that like when the phone rings? You think somebody's pranking you when they call you at first?
Oh, no. In my case, I was a little bit embarrassed because my first probably year and a half at United, when it came to international weeks, I wasn't included, and everyone else would be away, and I'd sort of be at the training ground, myself and one or two others. So I was just hoping and working hard, trying to get in there, get my international chance, and I was just a lot of speculation when I did eventually get the call up. We had a new manager, Ron Greenwood, who decided once England hadn't qualified for the '78 World Cup that he would make changes, bring younger players in. And there was a lot of speculation that I'd get my chance, but I was so pleased when I did.
And Matthew Waywin getting that opportunity for St. Kitts. Player for the FC United of Manchester side. They compete in the National League North. That's the 6th tier of English football. For those of you just joining us, these two clubs really mirror images of each other, community-based. There's Detroit City FC, the owners last night at an event at Soundboard at Motor City Casino, talking about how the idea of the club came to be over a few drinks, and that's Certainly the story for FC United of Manchester as well.
Well, I think going back in history, a lot of the founder members of the Football League, a lot of those clubs were started based from pubs and idea. And it's great to see the development still there.
Now another opportunity, and the shot runs just wide on the left side for Detroit City.
That was Adkins again. Adkins, Batista, real pacey. They've got an attacking eye. They can see situations develop. And big Eckersley and Ashworth at the back, I think, are getting slightly fed up with those two. They need a little bit of protection in front just to make sure that they're not exposed.
So now FC United of Manchester looking for some answers as Dave Johnson controls it in the midfield, and it squirts over to Chris Chandler. And the story behind this FC United of Manchester side, this club was promoted after forming in 2005 in protest of the Glazer family takeover and the increased commercialism, i.e. higher ticket prices, later kickoff times for TV, and everything that was going on at Manchester United. So in the same type of formation in terms of the way the club was founded, almost a stance against the commercialism of soccer here for this FC United of Manchester side, and two community-based clubs doing battle here today.
Yeah, I think for the FC United, you know, the ethos is very much a stand against the Glazers, because they bought the club on borrowings, really. And,
right.
And now they have to obviously meet the borrowing requirements.
There's a rifle shot and a goal. An absolute rocket from George Thompson.
Oh, fabulous. You know, it looked innocent, didn't it? It looked as if it was going to be another pass and try and thread something through, but what a strike. It just sat up lovely for him, and impossible to save. Tremendous strike, right foot from distance. Again, it almost lost momentum, the attack. First time. That is a quality strike.
That's just world class right there with the right foot. There's no goalie in the world that's going to make that stop.
Now he got right in the corner of the back of the net there, and he'll be well pleased with that. 2-2 now. You know, it's still all to play for. Both sides looking very, very threatening going forward, and question marks, I think, about both defenses after the first 40 minutes of this game.
George Thompson, who started his career at Nottingham Forest, had 11 goals last year in 26 matches played, so a high goal rate for him as well. He strikes here. As you said, we're all to play for here in the 45th minute.
Again, Neil, you know, the quality of those players don't really sort of reach down into level 6 of English football, but because FC United is such a unique environment, it's such a great place to play football with crowds. You know, a lot of players play there when they know they could perhaps make more money at other clubs.
And there's a takeaway by Chris Chandler. Chandler's in the box. The dummy sent through. The chip, and that's in the back of the net. Some high quality offense here. And that was Dave Johnson that gets the goal for FC United of Manchester. And lightning has struck in the English form here, and out of nowhere they have a 3-2 lead.
Yeah, quality. Again, TJ Stevens, I think it was, caught in possession. Chris Chandler has been a thorn in the side of Detroit all afternoon. But Dave Johnson, they often talk about passing the ball into the back of the net, and that was vision to see the space, but beautifully flighted pass into the back of the net. He'll be well pleased with that.
So here in extra time, FC United of Manchester gets 2 goals in 2 minutes and goes from being 2-1 down to 3-2 up. And that is how quickly things can change in the game of soccer, folks.
I think FC United would be mightily relieved with that, and I think that was the way they thought the game would develop, living off mistakes, creating opportunities. But it's been a terrific contest so far.
That ball headed over, now played high up into the air. Zach Shiwi with it. Shiwi loses control, and the whistle will sound. And we have reached halftime here at Keyworth Stadium. after an electric 45+ minutes of play that saw Detroit City FC come out and take a 2-1 lead. But FC United of Manchester strikes twice in the final 2 minutes, excuse me, to take a 3-2 lead. So FC United of Manchester getting the job done, and you know, it's really intriguing because we saw DCFC use the counterattack to take their lead. We saw FC United with possession that didn't really result in much, but it's a funny game though, isn't it? You come back out, Steve, and they get 2 in 2 minutes and away they go.
Yeah, it's been, as I said, a terrific contest. A lot of attacking intent from both sides. Detroit have the real pace up front with Atkins and Batista. They really are. They have a lot of penetration going forward, and it's more of an outball, whereas FC United have got a more considered build-up. And I think, as I said, they'll be well pleased to be 3-2 up at half-time. It's so easy in these conditions to almost go through the motions, and yet both sides are so determined to play progressive football, to try and create opportunities. And in the first 45 minutes, there have been an awful lot of good opportunities for both sides. You would probably say a draw at half-time would be a fitting result, but I don't think FC United are going to give a goal back too easily now. They've had a few issues at the back. I'm sure Carl now will get them in at half-time, have a sit down, a little bit of a rearrange in terms of the physicality in the second half. They don't have a big squad, and it's making huge demands on the players who are going to play most of the 90 minutes. Whereas Detroit, I believe, are going to make a lot of changes in the second half. So you got fresh players, maybe not as technically advanced, but fresh legs are dangerous in this weather.
Absolutely. Right now standing by on the sideline with head coach Ben Pierman. It's our sideline reporter Lindsay Pearson. Lindsay.
Thanks, Neil. I'm with Coach Pierman. Coach, how would you evaluate your team in the first half?
Not bad for about 41 minutes. Got some new guys involved, some younger guys, giving them some starts and some minutes against a good club. So overall, I thought it was positive. I thought we deserved to be in the lead. I thought we created more chances, but they're a good team. They took 2 chances at the end. So we got a new group in the second half, just going to have to play better.
And what are you looking for from that new group in the second half?
It's hot, so we got to improve our energy a little bit. I thought our ball retention and circulation was good. I think it can be better. Some of the decisions out of the back were poor. Some of the defensive structure was really off as well.
Okay, thanks, Coach. Good luck in the second half. Neil, back to you.
Thank you very much, Lindsay. 3-2. FC United of Manchester with the lead. Dave Johnson broke the 2-2 tie in the 46th minute. And that is where we stand as both these clubs get a much-deserved rest here in the upper 80 conditions with the lower 90s real feel. The temperature on the pitch touching the 100 mark as well. So it's been a long 45 minutes, a grueling 45 minutes, but we got 45 minutes more coming up in the second half. As we've seen some fireworks, we've seen some electricity, and we've seen some high-octane offensive soccer here in the first half of action at Keyworth Stadium between these two clubs that are really mirror images of each other. FC United of Manchester with a 3-2 lead over Detroit City FC. So Ben Pierman and LaRouge will have to answer some questions amongst themselves as they go to the halftime locker room and try to figure out a way to get back on top and seize control of this international friendly match against their friends from FC United of Manchester. They compete in the National League North. So if the first 45 minutes was any indication, the next 45 minutes will probably be even better. Make sure that you stick around to catch all the action here in the second half. 45 minutes in the books. FC United of Manchester 3, Detroit City FC 2. We will take a halftime break as well and then come back and get you the final 45 minutes of play. This is Detroit City FC Soccer. keep it here for a few minutes as we will send it down to the field, as we will officially dedicate Keyworth Stadium here. Let's send it down to the pitch. Alex Wright, one of the owners of Detroit City FC, addressing the crowd.
I'm one of the co-owners of Detroit City FC. I wanted to take a quick second to thank you all for coming, especially those of you who came from very, very far away.
The hundreds of you who painted the benches and the brackets that no one will ever see. To all of you who helped clean up the stadium, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you for building an amazing community here. And thank you for doing something really special that's unique on the American sports, the American soccer landscape. Today's a celebration of that. Thank you so much. And I think one of the things that's special about this project, in a day and age of mega stadiums that only last a few years before you tear them down, build new ones, here we're saving a piece of history, and we're doing it in a unique way. This is a true public-private partnership, and the private partnership for that was us. The public part was Hamtramck Public Schools. They had an open mind to us approaching them, and we just want to say a huge thanks to those people who made that possible. And with that cue, I want to introduce somebody who's really special who made today happen, and that's Tom Nichai, Superintendent of Hamtramck Public Schools. We approached him with a crazy idea. It took a couple pitches, but he signed on, and he made this happen. So, Tom Nichai, Hamtramck Public Schools.
The Hamtramck Board of Education thanks you. Our President, Magdalena Schrodek. Vice President is Evan Major. Our Secretary is Hedy Shogun. Our Treasurer is Dennis Lucas. Trustee Jackie Starr. Trustee Salwan Hadwan. DC, FC, and Hamtramck is a match made in soccer heaven. Thank you.
Thank you to all you. Enjoy second half with a lot of DCFC goals. Stay hydrated. We're serving beer as quickly as we can. Thank you. Have a great time. And also, we're all about goals, all about setting goals and meeting them. Nobody who traveled across the Atlantic is paying for a beer tonight at Hopcat. Let's make sure that happens. Thank you.
We've got 7 minutes for the Gene Shore Cannon. Take it away, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Alex Wright and the rest of the owners here at Detroit City FC with the proper dedication of Keyworth Stadium here. Of course, everyone knows the story, leasing it from Hamtramck Public Schools. They've raised $750,000 to renovate the place, and when it's done, they will hand it back over to Hamtramck Public Schools. As the jean short cannon, my favorite promotion in the history of sports, makes its way out on the field right here. I'm going to see. I know Lindsey Pearson loves to rock those jean shorts, so I know that she'll be making a guy. She's saying no. She's shaking her head right now, so I'm just kidding, folks. She doesn't really like the jean shorts. But we will take the halftime break as well. Come back, get to the final 45 minutes of action. 3-2. FC United of Manchester with the lead. We'll be right back. This is Detroit City FC Soccer.
Soccer World is your #1 source for all your soccer needs. We have the largest selection of shoes with over 300 styles to choose from, replica and authentic jerseys from all over the world, plus the latest and hottest new gear before anyone else gets it. Everything for all levels of soccer players, even coaches and referees, plus a knowledgeable staff that can help you with all your soccer needs. Soccer World for all your soccer needs. Located in Rochester Hills, Brighton, and Canton, or at soccerworldonline.com.
Remember the kid who always jumped first, the one who taught you to follow your heart. We seek those relentlessly committed to the lives and well-being of our brothers and sisters. The belief that a better life for everyone is our calling. We celebrate the kids who jump first. Because before equity of care was news, we were making it happen. We've been building it for 100 years. The world is finally catching up.
Historic night for soccer here at Keyworth Stadium in Hamtramck. Would see Detroit City FC and AFC Ann Arbor play to a 1-1 draw. Ali Al-Ghashami will get the offense started for La Rouge with an early opportunity. Detroit City FC very stout defensively, especially in the first half, as Nathan Steinwasser would close the door on any chances that AFC Ann Arbor would create. And then a stout effort by the defensive back line for La Rouge as well would hold the team in green in check for the entire first half. Detroit City would recover after surrendering a couple of first half opportunities to create some offense of their own. And then Ali Al-Ghashami with a tremendous service. And how about that touch and the goal for Detroit City FC? As Alec Lisinski puts it home, they would take a 1-0 lead into the locker room. But as the second half started, so did the problems for Detroit City. Brett Nason sent off with the red card. And on the other side of that, the goal by Dario Suarez on the ensuing PK would square the match at 1. So despite having 10 men for most of the second half, Detroit City FC would continue their tremendous defensive effort. Nathan Steinwasser, the difference at the end, a 1-1 draw. Those who know Detroit City FC know what soccer culture is. From the players on the pitch, to the supporters in the stands and beyond, to the nonprofits and small businesses we support in our community, DCFC is making its mark, and people are taking notice. Now we are asking everyone to join in our biggest project yet, to change the way a team grows in the United States. To move forward, we are tapping into our history. In 1936, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt gave a speech at the opening of a new stadium in the bustling factory town of Hamtramck, Michigan. It was a Great Depression, and across the country, his administration was boosting the economy by improving our infrastructure, bridges, schools, and roads. But on that day, he was in town to celebrate the building of a stadium. This stadium is one of the things that will last for many years and contribute toward the enjoyment and recreation, he said, not only for us older people, but of the younger generation as well. Like DCFC, Keyworth Stadium was built with a vision.
And in the spring of 2016, with your help, it will become the home field that both our supporters and the residents of Hamtramck deserve. We are turning to our community to help fund construction through loans made from Michigan residents to the team. It's the largest community finance project in Michigan history.
Welcome back inside Keyworth Stadium. Second half of action just underway. FC United of Manchester with a 3-2 lead over Detroit City FC. My name is Neil Rule. Joined in the booth, my very special guest here today, all the way from England. Last weekend, he was holding the FA Cup in front of tens of thousands of people. Today, he's stuck in the booth with me. It's Steve Koppel, English football legend, played for the English national team as well as Manchester United. And, you know, Steve, as we get ready to rock here in the second half, this has been a blast. I wish the second half would last forever, man. This has been a great time.
It might feel as if it lasts forever because it's a little bit warm in the booth here as well, isn't it? It's a challenge. And the players, I think Detroit have done terrifically well in the first half. They've made lots of changes. It's obvious for the second half. And the FC United players haven't got a big squad traveling with them, so the players have got to take a lot of work on the second half. It'll be interesting to see how it develops.
And we will get you those changes as we get an opportunity. I know number one change right there for Detroit City FC, Ali Al-Ghashami into the game, number 77. And Al-Ghashami with a right-footed shot, and that's on frame, but it's stopped by Dylan Forth. So 3-2 the lead.
It must be disconcerting for the FC United players to see so many fresh players come out as they're getting leg weary. They've got so many. This looks like a younger 11 for Detroit, the future of the club, and they'll have high energy. That is guaranteed, and they're showing that already.
Brett Nason into the game as well, number 21 for DCFC. Of course, he had the penalty heard around the world when he beat the Michigan Bucks at Oakland University in the U.S. Open Cup. The next 15 minutes of this match brought to you by Faygo, the official pop of Detroit City FC. And while we're at it, really the official pop of the city of Detroit unofficially. There's a left-footed blast that goes over top of the frame. But Sam Madley, who already has a goal in this contest, Steve, looking for another one with the laser beam with the left foot.
Yeah. Dave Johnson's proven to be critical up front for FC United, just controlling the play, bringing other players into the action, progressing up the field. You know, he doesn't have to do a great deal of running, Dave Johnson, but he's got to be available all the time, and then they can really create things, I feel.
Ball will trickle in towards Dylan Forth. Forth scoops it up and wings it out to the right side. Chris Chandler with it. Chandler scored a goal last year for this FC United side that competes in the National League North. They finished in 13th place in the league last year. The 6th year of English football. They're a team that is definitely on the rise, very supporter-backed. Mirror image really of these two clubs as they look at each other, and there was some miscommunications. Tyler Moorman into the game as well. His pass intended for Matty Barra. So Moorman into the game. We talked about Al-Ghashami, Brett Nason, Matty Barra in, Andre Morris, Billy Stevens, Alec Lisinski in, and a change in goal as well. Robbie Beckwell into the game. So Robbie Beckwell played his college soccer just down the road at Detroit Mercy. So how does this change things, Steve, tactically for DCFC? You have basically more than half your team is fresh coming in, so that opens the door to do a lot of things you want to.
Yeah, and they're playing exactly the same way in terms of the patient build-up. You know, they've kept a couple of the first half players on. Danny Deacon there, I think, is still on. Omar Sinclair, I think, is still on. Just trying to get all the numbers now. But again, composed build-up. It's good that the formula is the same, even with different players.
There's a right-footed shot that's trickled on, and the save is made by Dylan Forth. But a quality chance there for Detroit City.
He did well there. It looks as if he'd left that near post open, but he just got a hand to it. It just bobbled out of his grip, but he nailed onto it straight away. He knew how important it was. And it would be really sad for FC United if they give something away cheaply. You know, if the opposition are going to score, make them work hard for it, make them create something special. Don't give it for nothing.
Danny Deacon dangerous for Detroit City as always. Deacon, a goal and 3 assists in the game against Dayton, was a 2-time All-American in college. Played for the Sheffield United developmental squad in England, a club that you may be a little bit familiar with.
Yeah, very much so. And not had the best of years this year. They've sacked the manager. I don't know if they've made new appointments, but it's a big club. They should be at least one league above where they are at the moment. And with Sheffield Wednesday doing so well, it hurts for all United fans in Sheffield.
So a quick restart there for FC United. And that ball touched out over the sideline again, right in front of George Thompson. George Thompson's a name we've said a lot here today. Of course, he had the goal in the 44th minute to square this match at 2 off a world-class right foot. My name is Neil Rule. Steve Koppel, our special guest commentator here today. Scored 7 goals for the English national team, also played for Manchester United. Something we haven't talked a lot about, Steve. Very active in the management capacity as well. A couple stints at Crystal Palace, a stint at Manchester City, Bristol City, Portsmouth as well. So really, what's the biggest transition from being a player and going into management? Because you have to look at the game really in 2 entirely different perspectives.
Oh, it's a massive change, Neil. It's incredible. As a player, sometimes you'll work an hour and a half a day. As one of my old coaches used to say, the most important part of training as a player is rest. You need to be rested all the time, and then suddenly you're thrown into management. And it is literally 24/7, 365. You can be doing different things. You can be on holiday in the summer, and all you're thinking about is your team and who you're going to acquire, who you're going to sell, and how you're going to change things, how you're going to get better. It's a massive challenge, and now with the size of the staffs at all the big clubs, you know, it's a huge corporation almost. Certainly in the Premiership, and all the big teams in the Premiership, they have one bus for their players to go to away games, and they have one bus for the staff. You know, my first away trip as manager of Crystal Palace, we had 3 people outside the 12 players on the bus, whereas now, I think my last stint at Reading, I think I had 9 staff on the bus. So it's a huge change in the way the game has developed. Sports science now so important. Nutrition, psychology. It's not just about picking 11 players to play football. Again, Bill Shankly very famously said, you know, football is a simple game made complicated by idiots. And I think that goes an awful long way to explaining the way sometimes we overtalk it. And it's great to see this, not grassroots football because it's way beyond that, but just general, genuine enthusiasm and people wanting to play football.
Danny Deacon sends that shot over top of the bar, and right now we're going to offer up to everyone at home our weekly trivia brought to you by Flagstar Bank, the official bank of Detroit City FC. We talked about Steve Koppel here in the booth. So the trivia question this week: when did Steve make his debut for Manchester United? So we'll let you chew on that. Send us a tweet at Detroit City FC if you think you've got the answer. Lindsey Pearson's got 2 phones, so she can keep track of everything that's going on the social media as well. So send us a tweet. Let us know if you have the answer. 3-2 right now. FC United of Manchester with the lead here in the 55th minute. We're happy to have you with us. An extra special hello to those of you watching across the pond in Manchester, England. Also a special hello to everyone enjoying the game on the stream on FoxSportsDetroit.com also. Now here comes an opportunity for FC United of Manchester. That ball is slid out towards the right side. George Thompson with it again. He's got a quality strike to his game. There's no doubt about that. We saw that evidence in the 44th minute. There's a quality service in. That ball flicked on just wide by Tom Greaves. But here in just the last couple moments, Steve, FC United of Manchester have become very dangerous.
Yeah, well, that's been a constant all afternoon with George Thompson, his delivery into the box. And again, we've seen it all afternoon. When the ball comes into the box, both sides are getting numbers in the box, and that's when chances are created. Good opportunity there. Difficult glancing header, and just the wrong side of the post.
Scott Kay knocks it down and takes possession. So again, make sure you tweet your answer to our weekly trivia brought to you by Flagstar Bank. And again, this question this week, my broadcast partner tonight, when did Steve Koppel make his debut for Manchester United? Send your tweet to @Detroit City FC. Left-footed shot. Ball is loose in the box, and the save is made by Robbie Beckwell. So Beckwell put to the test. Checking Twitter right now, Reagan Bartha has tweeted the correct answer. Steve Koppel started for Manchester United, and we will get to that in just a couple seconds here. So 3-2. FC United of Manchester in the lead. But again, Steve, we've seen the quality chances continue here on both sides. It's been a very fun game to be a part of.
Yeah, it has. And both sides driving to try and go forward, although it would be easy, as I said at half-time, to just sort of go through the motions. I think Detroit missing just the pace of Batista over the top. I think that made such a difference. Just having that out ball over the top down the side of centre-halves gave them a lot more penetration, and now the build-up is a little bit more considered, and FC United have got a chance.
Ali Al-Gashami sends that shot just wide of the post.
But from distance, you know, and that's a lot easier to deal with than the deliveries that are coming from wide areas into the box when they've got 4 and 5 men in the box.
Let's take a look at DCFC's upcoming games, as they will have a pair against FC Buffalo, a pair of friendlies. That'll be next Friday, June 3rd at 7 p.m. right here at Keyworth. And then they will reshuffle the deck and do it again in Buffalo on Sunday at 3 p.m. Our next web stream will take place on Sunday, June 12th, right here in Keyworth Stadium against Lansing United, as play will pick back up in the NPSL. Very hot and heavy as Ann Arbor sits atop the table. There's a right-footed blast that's just curled over top of the bar. Ali Al-Gashami is using as a firing range right now, Steve.
Well, when he was line up to have that shot there, I thought, well, that'll be okay. That's comfortable for a goalkeeper. But the dip he got on that, you know, another 5 yards, and it might just have crept in the top corner of the nets. I thought it was ambitious, but he's obviously got the quality.
Dylan Forth will send it out back towards the midfield. And a throw in coming for FC United of Manchester. So here comes FC United of Manchester on the attack up the left side. Good defensive play made, however, by Andre Morris. Here comes another counter for Detroit City, but that ball played into the middle of the field. It was taken away by Scott Kay. Now that ball's loose in the box momentarily, and here comes another opportunity for FC United of Manchester. The offside flag is raised, and that takes a goal away from Dave Johnson, but the offside flag was up.
To be fair, that was really good defending. As the FC United player came square across the pitch, they just stepped up and left him for dead. Across the pitch, they stepped up, 2-3 players offside. Really good defending. They've been well schooled, that's for sure.
And Matt Ibarra very heads up there as he steps up. And right now we like to spend out some special best wishes to Darcy Brandel, the wife of Todd Kropp, as she has been a part of DCFC from the very beginning. However, today she's a bit under the weather and could not make it out to the match. So Darcy, we want to say get well. And Le Rouge misses you out here. There's no question about that. As the sun continues to shine on the very hot Keyworth Stadium pitch. Game time kickoff temperature 86 degrees. The real feel was 93. It's got to be pushing 100 down there on the actual field itself. So here comes an opportunity again for FC United of Manchester. As the ball played towards the middle of the field. Dave Johnson has had a good go of it here today. Right-footed shot is blocked up front by Andre Morris.
They've got a little bit more control now, though, FC United. I think technically they are more superior than this 11. And again, they've got two centre forwards at the moment, Dave Johnson and Tom Greaves, and that gives more focus to the play. And I think they're just taking advantage of that. And in comparison, Detroit just a little bit slower. Again, don't have Batista, that ball over the top. It's a little bit more considered, which is playing into FC United's hands.
Chris Chandler sends that one back to the keeper, Dylan Forth, who plays it up. The whistle sounds and the foul is called. So let's go back to our trivia question from Flagstar Bank. My broadcast partner here today, Steve Koppel. When did he make his debut for Manchester United? And we've had various tweets come in. A lot of you, we didn't fool a lot of you. March 1st, 1975, as there was another opportunity for Detroit City FC. March 1st, 1975, and a 4-0 win over Cardiff City. So tell us about, what do you remember about that day?
Oh, I remember it vividly. You know, we were talking about our first game for England and how memorable that was. I think I signed for United on the Wednesday, and the doc said to me that I would be sub on the Saturday against Cardiff. And at the time, United were in the second division in England, and they just stuttered a little bit. They were at the top, but they were just beginning to stutter a little bit. And after an hour, it was 0-0. And when I ran onto the pitch, my heart was beating so strong. And as I ran on, we had a corner. And to be honest, I never even made the edge of the box, and we scored from the corner. And I think that was just a golden moment for me. It had absolutely nothing to do with me.
All because of you, right? All because of your presence, right?
I just felt so good running on, and then for us to score as well. And then the first time I got the ball, I panicked. I thought, blimey, what shall I do? So I crossed it, and we scored from the cross.
Well, of course.
And we ended up winning 4-0. And again, a little bit of a story behind the day. I was signed from Tranmere Rovers, and I was at university at the time, and my boots had gone with the Tranmere team. They were playing away at Aldershot. So when I turned up at Old Trafford to play on the Saturday, I didn't have a pair of boots. So I had to use an old pair of Stuart Pearson's boots. And it was just a surreal experience, a magical day for me. 4-0 at the end of it. You know, I felt so proud to be a part of this club. And we went on for the rest of the season unbeaten and got promotion back into the big time, the top division. And it was just a memorable couple of months, which were spoiled by having to take exams at university in June.
Wow.
So it was bizarre times.
At least you didn't have much going on. You know, the next 15 minutes here are brought to you by Flagstar Bank, the official bank of Detroit City FC, and the official sponsor of the Neighborhood Champ program that brings 60 Detroit neighborhood residents to each and every Le Rouge home game. DCFC and Flagstar bringing the beautiful game to Detroit neighborhoods all summer long. Here comes a bit of a break, but unable to catch up with it. It's Alec Lasinski. As FC United of Manchester continues to lead 3-2 here as we cruise in towards the 66th minute. corner kick opportunity. That ball's hit on and it's headed just wide. And putting his head down, can't believe it was Dave Edwardson.
It was a Geordie. I think he may have missed that on purpose. What a delivery. What a sweet left-footed delivery that was. What a golden opportunity. He won't want to see that one again, that's for sure. Terrific cross in from the corner.
Dave Edwardson, who wears the captain's armband, the 4th most matches played in DCFC history, won the Black Arrow Award as the team MVP last year. We appreciate all the tweets. A lot of you, I would have gave credit to everyone that got it, but a lot of you got it right. Giving that opportunity to slide into the DMs here at Detroit City FC. We certainly do appreciate you following along on Twitter as well. You can send your tweets with the hashtag WatchCity. Let us know where you're watching it from. As the physicality picks up, Matty Barra gains possession. Now Edwardson will touch it towards the right side. Here comes Detroit City FC looking to counter again. Deacon puts the brakes on and is spilled, and the whistle sounds, much to the chagrin of Sam Madley.
Deacon's a good player, you can see that. He's got good control, good vision. And Chris Chandler, who's been playing left back, now playing right back. So he's got a handful.
That ball will trickle over the line. Another throw-in coming.
Another great cross, though, Neil. You know, so difficult to defend against. You've got your eye on your ball. You can't keep your eye on the person you're marking. So difficult.
Klasinski in the neighborhood there. Steve, I think we've seen both of these sides really settle it down over the last 10 minutes here. Much more of a traditional match between these two sides. We saw fireworks the entire first 45 minutes plus. A couple of early chances here in the second half, but these two teams have really dug in.
Well, FC United is going a little bit more direct because they got the two up front with a little bit of physicality. You put the ball in and around them and they'll get hold of it. And again, this version of Detroit perhaps not got the technical quality or the real pace and penetration up front to be the force that they were in the first 45 minutes. But nonetheless, still very much in this game. You know, as the chance showed from the corner, you only need one opportunity and the game could be transformed again. FC United came back into it, a couple of goals in a few minutes, and they seem to be more in control of the tempo and the match now. But as we go into the second half, physically it will be a problem for them.
Let's take a look at the Detroit City FC halftime report, brought to you by Metro PCS, as these sides go for a water break right now on this very hot and heavy afternoon. Javi Bautista got things started for Detroit City FC. A brilliant strike coming up the left side. Sam Madley, who was very dangerous from 2 yards out, as my broadcast partner Steve Capel told us earlier. He scored to even things in the 14th minute. Jeff Atkins put Detroit City on top, but a minute-and-a-half flurry from FC United of Manchester. George Thompson with a rocket right foot in the 44th minute. Dale Johnson in stoppage time just a minute and a half later gave FC United of Manchester the 3-2 lead, and that is where we stand going into the 69th minute as we will take a look at it. But you may mention Javi Bautista was a guy that really kind of turned this match on its ear to start.
Pace, you can't deal with pace. It's difficult to defend. And again, the quality of the crosses, these pacey crosses coming in, you know, it's such a problem for any big centre half to move his feet quickly. And we look at the crowd now. What a great job they've done trying to lift their side. You know, such noise in this heat is brilliant.
Absolutely, but that is the case. One of the most passionate fan bases in all of Detroit sports. Today's attendance, 6,245 on a Memorial Day weekend here in the Detroit area. So props to the Northern Guard and everybody else that's come out and braved the heat and all the elements here today. A lot of sunscreen out. Of course, A lot of liquids being consumed as well, both water and other kinds, Steve.
Really? There's not much flowing in the box here.
No, there's not. Maybe we can work on that. Well, let's get it turned in here. Why not? Let's go. The 70th minute of a one-goal game. Neil Rule, Steve Koppel with you. Happy to have you with us. An extra special hello to those of you watching over in Manchester, England, as set into nighttime there, right? About 10:30.
Yeah. It's no, perhaps not 10:30 as yet. Oh, it's 9:30.
9:30. That's right.
So it's a good time to be watching football. And could I just say to all the people from Manchester, you know, the team here have done terrifically well. They've been great ambassadors for the city and for their football club. They're playing with real vigor. You know, the preparation not ideal, but they have done fabulously well, and I can only commend, you know, the way they behaved as well. Superb.
Absolutely. They've all been very gracious to me as well, and I certainly appreciate everybody there in England having me in your homes here tonight. An American guy calling soccer. I know it's a bit blasphemous over there, but I appreciate you guys not crushing me too bad on Twitter, so thank you for that. Steve, as I said earlier, it's been an absolute honor, an absolute pleasure to work with you and pick your brain. And like I said, I could sit here for 90 minutes and listen to you tell stories if I had my way. That's what I would do. So 3-2 the lead for FC United of Manchester. We have not seen a goal here in the second half so far. And the pace has calmed a little bit. It's over 6,200 in attendance here today. The official attendance brought to you by Rise. We're certainly happy to have them as a sponsor as well. That ball touched ahead. We've said Sam Madley's name quite often here this afternoon. He has a goal already in the 13th minute that leveled things at 1. Detroit City would take a 2-1 lead, but FC United of Manchester struck twice in about a minute and a half to take the 3-2 lead in the locker room. 17:38 left to play here before the 90 minutes becomes full. And again, just want to say what's up, hello to everybody watching over in England. And an extra special hello to the Armchair Army, who have sent along their wishes saying the tables have turned, and they certainly have.
Yeah, definitely. And a credit to FC United to get back into the game, because it looked at that stage as if Detroit were going to have the edge going into half-time, and psychologically so important to go in, have a sit down, have a regroup and a drink at half-time, knowing that you've got your noses in front.
As the Northern Guard begins their traditional rendition of Human Tetris along the side. Really one of the unique things in sports is you see them going from side to side.
That's incredible, Neil. I didn't realize supporting the team was so physically demanding.
Especially on a hot day like today.
Yeah. Well, hence the liquid replacement, I believe.
That's right. They're staying hydrated, no doubt about it. So that ball sent into the box. Here's a dangerous situation. That shot's deflected, and it goes over top of the bar. Very nearly found its way home, but a corner will be in order, as that was a dangerous chance.
Lovely play, the build-up there. Again, a terrific pass into feet. Tom Greaves there, just the deflection, but you could see on the half turn, saw an opening, and good defending, to be fair, to get it over the top of the goal.
As we motor into the 75th minute. Corner here for FC United. Corner sent long. Tracked down along the sideline. That ball played all the way back to the keeper, Forth. So Forth will touch it and settle it down for Chris Chandler. Chandler has played well here today. Good long left-footed cross pass, but it actually bounces over top of the intended target. I believe that's Matthew Waywin over there. No, check that. That was Jerome Wright. So about 15 minutes left. Number 27, Andrew Dalu, has come in for Detroit City. That ball is touched by George Chamakoff. Ali Al-Gashami will send a crossover. Bobby Budlong into the game as well for Detroit City.
It'd be interesting to see Al-Gashami with Batista. The two of them are so bright. That would be a good combination, I think, and provide plenty of opportunities, not just for themselves, but for others.
Definitely too high quality. And here's Al-Gashami with a right-footed shot. It just misses the upper right-hand corner. The next 15 minutes is presented by M1 Imaging. You can tweet your choice for the man of the match to @Detroit City FC and include the hashtag M1Man. So send your tweet to @Detroit City FC with the hashtag M1Man. Make your voice heard. The M1 Imaging man of the match. Lindsey Pearson will put those two phones to work and figure it all out. There's a right foot shot that will trickle wide off the foot of Sam Madley. So Madley, who had 10 goals in 33 appearances last year, has played the entire 76 minutes plus, and I think we're starting to see the effects of that too.
Well, he should really have just ran on there, but having scored one, I think he wanted the glory goal, the volley into the top corner, and I think Dave Johnson gave him a very quizzical look when he had that shot from distance, because as such he was through on goal. It's a lot easier to shoot than run with the ball when you played 70 minutes in these conditions.
And Steve, we've really seen, you know, when we talk about it, given the heat and the conditions here today, final 13 plus minutes of action here, we're really seeing the elements taking its toll on these players out there.
Opportunity.
Yep, and here comes a dangerous chance. That touch goes just wide of the left bar. Tyler Moorman came within a breath of squaring this game at 3.
A second great opportunity. You know, he's gone through there 1v1. I thought the goalkeeper had made it almost easy for him by coming out. It was just a flick over the goalkeeper, just missing the goal. He knew it straight away. He was trying to chase after it and put it back in the net, but he must have felt it off his foot. He just went the wrong side of the post.
Tyler Moorman, who played his college soccer at University of Detroit Mercy as well, as did the goalkeeper right now, Robbie Beckwell, for Detroit City.
I think the FC United players, certainly the ones who played all the game, are running a little bit on vapor at the moment. I'm not sure they got much in the tank, and they should be well pleased with their efforts this afternoon, though. Even now, they're still grafting away. They're playing hard. They're not making it easy, and it must be physically demanding. Again, the surface is hard, and that really gets to your joints as a player. And they'll know tomorrow that they'll have been in the game and really committed to 90-odd minutes of football, hard football.
Be a lot of sleep on that flight home tomorrow for
I'm sure.
everybody affiliated. No
I'm
question
sure of
about
that. And that might be because of the rehydration, may I add. I'm not sure.
Absolutely.
Whether it'll be all the physical demands.
Not only of this 90 minutes of action, but the official post-match party taking place at Hopcat Detroit after this game is over. So you can expect the guys to get together and give a proper send-off, if you will.
Well, I've been told on the menu at the restaurant there are 130 odd craft beers So the manager, Carl Marginson, and I, we decided that we both start at each end of the selection of the 130 beers and see if we can meet in the middle.
See, almost a reverse tug of war, if you will.
Yeah,
huh?
definitely. My money's on him, by the way.
I had an opportunity last night to catch up with Carl as well, and you know, just two guys from different ends of the world with a lot of the same things in common.
Yeah.
And that's what you find. It was great just rapping with everybody, Carl included. And, you know, the guys here for FC United of Manchester, some of the guys I tell, they have regular jobs. You know, they're guys that, you know, they're plumbers, auto body workers, the same. You know, the same as everybody here in the city of Detroit.
And they get back, and the next morning they're going to have to be up bright and early and work.
Right.
This has been a great break for them, a wonderful experience. You know, it just shows the universal language of football. It really does bring teams together, and I hope this is an association that lasts and lasts. It certainly deserves to be, and a great example of the camaraderie of football on display here. Not only on the pitch, but off the pitch. The supporters who come from Manchester and the terrific fans from Detroit still making loads of noise, jumping up and down and making their presence felt.
And it's something, Steve, that we've seen in this neighborhood here around Keyworth Stadium. Now, to give you a little bit of the history here in Hamtramck, a very heavy Polish population. In earlier times, we've seen a transformation in terms of the residency of this neighborhood, but even the locals here, whether they be Arab or Polish or what have you, they've taken to this whole scene as an opportunity here for Detroit City FC. That ball served in, it's knocked out a corner upcoming. As that population here is transformed, the love for soccer has stayed the same. And you mentioned it. This is the difference, I think, with soccer between a football, a baseball, a hockey.
Yeah.
This is truly a universal sport that can transcend, you know, ethnicities across the world. Everybody loves the game of soccer.
Yeah. And again, sort of relating it to American sports, it's the one game, I think, where being big is not an advantage. You know, it's the main American sports, if you're a big unit, then it's a huge advantage. Whereas soccer, small people can compete with the biggest and best on a level playing field. So it's a tremendous sport, and when it's played in the right spirit, you know, as we've seen here today, there's been no diving, no mucking around, just people wanting to have a good competitive game of football. It's been a joy to watch.
Certainly has been a lot of fun, especially if you like goals and offense, which I'm a big fan of, and we've seen some world-class type finishes here today. And here making a run is Sam Madley again. He's gotten one of those goals as he hops over one of our camera operators there here at Keyworth Stadium. 3-2, FC United of Manchester with the lead. My name is Neil Rule. Steve Koppel, my broadcast partner, former English national team legend, played also for Manchester United. Looks like some substitutions will be coming very soon for FC United of Manchester. Matthew Whalen will come back in, as will Greg Daniels. So some rested players will finally make their way in. Now these guys got some action here in the first half.
I think this is the one occasion where a couple of the players will be glad that they're being brought off. Usually players aren't happy being substituted. But I think
when it's 100 degrees on the pitch, you're not as heartbroken, right?
Yeah. It'd be great to get back in the dressing room, have the ice towels and the cold drinks, and really recover as best as you can, as quickly as you can.
So we're in the 84th minute. Still looking for our first goals here of the second half. FC United of Manchester took a 3-2 lead into the locker room. That's where we've stayed ever since. Trudelu makes the play. Now on the left side, here's the attack for Bobby Budlong. A good touch to Al Ghashami. Al Ghashami crosses over, has it touched away. by Tom Eckersley, but a corner kick is upcoming.
He's bright, isn't he? Al-Ghashami's really bright, very confident there. He just checked the ball back. And let's see now what kind of a corner he can deliver.
He will send in his service towards the back post. Nobody home.
Wrong club there, I think. I think he took one club too many.
So he hit an 8-iron there when a 9-iron would have done.
Yeah, I think. And that's when your teammates aren't happy, because just put it into the mixer, into a position where they can all attack it. One of the few occasions, of course, a corner where you can get 5-6 people into the box in general play, so a waste.
So under 5 minutes left of regulation time here at historic Keyworth Stadium. Jerome Wright knocks it down for FC United as the smoke begins to emanate from the Northern Guard. The fans here for Detroit City sensing the need to dig in. Here comes Matthew Whalen. Whalen into the box on the left side, looking for the troops. There's Greg Daniels with it. Daniels will swing it out towards the right side for Tom Brown. It's a very deliberate attack right now for FC United of Manchester.
Possession is everything, Neil, at this stage. You just need to keep that ball. If you lose it, you'll chase it.
There's a header that goes just wide to the right side.
One of the FC United staff there who's getting the token few minutes. I'm not sure about the pink boots, but
it's funny. I brought this up last week. I call games for Oakland University on ESPN3 as well, and their head coach Eric Pogue always told me, he said, if you wear white or pink shoes, you better be a good player.
Yeah. If you're drawing attention to yourself, you have to be a good player. You have to deliver.
And the foul is called just outside the 18. This will be a very dangerous situation as that whistle goes against Scott Kay.
He's complaining there about he got the ball, but I think now it's not just about getting the ball, it's how you get the ball. And I think he took a piece there of the Detroit player just before he made contact with the ball. And obviously being tired at the end of a demanding game, he just gives vent a little bit. We can allow him that one, I think.
Ali Al-Ghashami here, Steve.
Yeah.
Will be the point man, and he's knocked on the door a couple of times.
I always think, though, in these situations, have somebody else on the ball just to introduce an element of surprise, maybe for the goalkeeper. It's so obvious now that, you know, he is looking to shoot.
Al-Ghashami lines it up, the right foot, blocked by the wall.
I think that free kick was never going to threaten. It hit the wall sort of halfway up, so it wasn't even. I don't think the goalkeeper even moved to give it any kind of importance.
Now another opportunity. That through ball was just touched away at the last moment by Tom Eckersley. But another corner kick upcoming, so DCFC knocking on the door here, Steve.
Yeah, big finish required. Nick Kokin has come in goal for FC United. He was a player at United for a couple of years. We were chatting this morning. He was talking about the times he connected with Sir Alex. Talking about negotiating contracts.
Right-footed shot and a diving save made by fourth. Boy, George Chomikoff teed one up. Another developing situation. That ball played into the box and pushed out. Sorry to interrupt you there, Steve.
No, tremendous save. Nick's come in. Nick Kokin's come in goal. So, you know, as I said, from United days, he had a few run-ins.
Oh, another through ball that just goes through. Somehow worked its way through two DCFC players.
Yeah, that goal is living a charmed life at the moment, and it just needs to compose things at the moment. But tremendous save. Nick's only just come on. I don't think he was too warmed up. Obviously, perhaps not at his best. Just a slight deflection there.
Andre Morris had it go through his legs. And then Tyler Moorman was on the doorstep as well. And Offside flag is up, I believe, and that certainly is the case. And yeah, FC United of Manchester slipped one in on me there, Steve.
Yeah.
Nick Culkin coming in. They both share the number 1 with Dylan Forth. And Culkin began his pro career, as you said, at Manchester United. Now he played as a youth in New York City. Has one match under his belt in the EPO.
Yeah, I didn't know that one. We were just chatting this morning, and as I say, he was funny. The way Sir Alex almost bullied him into certain contracts, and you know, he tried to negotiate with Sir Alex, but I think with Sir Alex it's a one-way negotiation. You just accept what he offers, and that's what he did. So.
Well, we have our own Sir Alex here, and Alex Wright here at Detroit City FC. Things work the same way there, too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's important. You need that authority. And it all emanates from the top. That is guaranteed. We see so many times in English football clubs where leadership becomes diluted, and all of a sudden...
Here's a chance, and diving and making the stop is Culkin again.
He's playing terrific. We didn't see that through ball coming off at all, and he showed a bit of pace to come off his line and deal with it.
As we're in stoppage time, and now we get some pushing and shoving. And as the game is on the line, the player's getting a little bit turned up here. Brett Nason mixing it up.
I think a little bit of pantomime there. It was he was trying to be funny. To go with the pink boots.
Yeah. As the boos rain down, and we're actually in stoppage time. I haven't heard an official announcement how many minutes of stoppage time we will have. Now keep in mind, we've had a couple water breaks, so that will certainly come into play. So we're in stoppage time. FC United of Manchester with a 3-2 lead over Detroit City. My name is Neil Rule. Steve Koppel, English football legend, in the booth with us here today. Ali Al-Ghashami knocks it down and touches it through. There's Tyler Moorman with it. Moorman with a bad first touch, sends it back up top. They'll work it to the right side. Billy Stevens. Nason. Long service in, goes through the hands. Now the ball's in the bottom, into the back of the net. A goal for Detroit City here in stoppage time to level the match at 3.
Well, goalkeeper, you have the feeling that was going out of play when the ball was delivered. And he just tried to gather it in, but I think all the goalkeepers have struggled really to keep the ball. It was going out of play, I think, but a great ball across.
Alec Lisinski finds the back of the net to equalize this match. But how about that touch right there by Bobby Budlong?
Yeah.
And Lisinski, as you said, very effective from 2 yards out.
Yeah, well, I think that was even within 2 yards. I think anybody wouldn't have finished that one. But terrific, terrific. And now another breakaway.
An opportunity here on the other side, as Bedlam is broken out here as we're tied at 3, and that cross is touched out by Bobby Budlong. 3-3 now the score. We're into the 94th minute in stoppage time. What an entertaining match here today at Keyworth Stadium. The corner sent in. Tom Brown taken down, and we'll get a whistle. So hold the phone, folks. This will be a very dangerous setup, Steve.
Yeah. Well, it should be, definitely. It's perhaps, if anything, a little bit too close to deliver. It's more of a shooting opportunity. Jerome Wright going over there at the moment, and I'm sure he'd fancy a strike. But he's walking away now, so it looks as if it's going to be a delivery into the box. But it's hard from that distance to get pace on the ball without flying over everyone.
Well, if there's somebody that can do it for FC United, it's this man, number 11, George Thompson. He scored a rocket goal already. Here we go. He tries to curl it in, and it's just wide of the right bar. And the whistle will sound, and we have reached full time. But what an entertaining match here today at Keyworth Stadium. It will go in the books as a 3-3 draw. But Steve, the fans that came out, all 6,200 plus of them, certainly got their money's worth here today.
Yeah, terrific. And dare I say it, but a draw was probably the right result. You know, it could have gone either way. But in the spirit of the game and the way it was destined to be, a draw keeps everybody happy. The FC United team could be so pleased with their contribution to this occasion. It wasn't just a match, it was an occasion. And the supporters and Detroit City similarly can really look forward now to a strong season. They've been a real force in this game, and because of the changeover at half-time and the number of players they introduced, I think the future is looking rosy for Detroit City. They've got some good young players. They've been well coached. They know what they're doing. And both teams can really take credit from a terrifically entertaining game.
Two sides that left everything they had out here. This was an international friendly match, but you certainly wouldn't have been able to tell that here this afternoon by the amount of energy that was expended by both of these sides. They left nothing in the tank. They went out there and got after it here today.
Yeah, and as you say, it's about commitment, and both teams were really committed without being sort of physically committed against each other. It was just a contribution. They put so much effort into the game to make it an entertainment for the 6,200 people who came out here. The fans appreciated it. They showed it right throughout the game. You know, their support was fabulous, entertaining to watch them just as much as watching the football. And now both sets of players are going round and really feeling the appreciation from the supporters for the way they played and the entertainment they provided.
And now the jerseys will be exchanged between the two sides, and this is one of my favorite things about the game right now. Two clubs with a lot of respect for each other that came out here and gave it their all. Of course, FC United of Manchester coming all the way over from England to participate in this match, and they certainly, just from a man-to-man perspective, are a first-class side, not only on the field, but certainly as well. And right now, we'll send it down to our sideline reporter, Lindsey Pearson, standing by the head coach, Ben Pierman.
Thanks,
Lindsey.
Neil. I'm with Coach Pierman again. Coach, what do you see out of your guys in the second half?
A little bit more energy. Obviously, when you make 8 changes and then 3 more midway through, you're going to get a little disjointed, but energy was good. I thought for the 90 minutes, we played a really good brand of soccer, which is something we've been focusing on since the Cup game. So we moved the ball really well. Possession was good. We created a load of chances. Now we just got to focus on keeping the ball out of the back of the net. So guys in the second half didn't give up. Even I think that was after injury time. So, you know, we fought hard. You know, deserve result. Both teams played really good soccer, and it was a fun event.
And this is a friendly, but it's a little more than a friendly, a special visitor. What has this been like for you to coach in a game like this?
Yeah, it's been fun. You know, they're a first-class group. They got great fans, good players. You know, some of those guys maybe in their prime were some special players. They got some good younger guys. So, you know, we're kind of in a similar boat over here, you know, in America. And, you know, I thought both teams really enjoyed the event, and both fan bases really supported their clubs through and through.
Thanks, Coach. Great job today. And guys, I have Alec Lisinski with me. Alec, great game today. Walk us through that goal at the end there.
I think everyone was just very tired, and the defenders didn't get back, and so it was an easy tap in. But I mean, Bobby, he made the play, so it's pretty much all on him. And I had a very simple finish. So, I mean, thanks to Bobby.
And what is it like scoring in front of these fans at Keyworth?
It's incredible. I mean, I scored before against Ann Arbor, but I mean, these fans every time impress me. Just the smoke bombs and just the passion for the game. It's incredible to see that in the U.S.
And this is a friendly, but it's a little more than a friendly because it's a special visitor. What has it been like for you to play in a game like this?
I've never played in anything like this before against a team from across, you know, across the ocean. So this is an incredible game just to like be here in this atmosphere, and then to play and score. It's incredible.
Okay, thanks, Alec. Great game tonight.
Thank you very much.
Neil, back to you.
Thank you very much, guys. Certainly do appreciate it. Of course, Alec Lisinski, the M1 Imaging Man of the match. And why not? He scored that goal in stoppage time to earn the 3-3 draw here for Detroit City FC against FC United of Manchester. So that puts the cap on all the events here this weekend in terms of soccer themselves. We'll take a look at the upcoming games. On Friday, June 3rd, here at Keyworth Stadium, they'll play another friendly against FC Buffalo. And then on Sunday, they'll return the favor. This time, they'll do it in Buffalo. That'll be 3 p.m. on next Sunday. And then we'll have our next web stream available the Sunday after that, June 12th, as Lansing United will pay a visit here to Keyworth Stadium. The opening kick will be at 5 p.m. right here from Keyworth, and we look forward to having you back for the stream of that contest. So 3-3 is the final result here between FC United of Manchester and Detroit City FC. We'll get you caught up with the Metro PCS game report. Javi Bautista was certainly an all-world performer here today for La Rouge, but in the second half, Alec Lisinski with that stoppage time goal. And Steve, will get your final thoughts here on the match. Tough conditions, tough travel to our friends from Manchester as well, but they didn't let that dissuade them in any way. Some high-quality football was played out here today, and it was a heck of a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and it was consistent throughout the game. The game sort of didn't die off for 5 and 10 minutes at a time. There was always a break on. There was always commitment to try and go forward. Some terrific goals. You could appreciate the performances of both sides. I was fascinated before the game to see what level Detroit would be in terms of technical ability, and it just showed that they're a real competent team, and there's a rich and rosy future for this football club.
Absolutely. Well, Steve, we certainly have enjoyed having you here in the booth with us today. And for Steve Koppel and our entire crew, this is Neil Rowe reminding you one final time the score here from Keyworth Stadium: Detroit City FC 3, FC United of Manchester 3. Thank you for watching, everybody. Well, see you later.